Take the guesswork out of making perfect French macarons because I've got a foolproof way to get perfectly chewy centers, crispy outsides, and those cute little feet. For those following me for a long time, you know that I'm macaron obsessed, and I've been working on an updated recipe which is much easier, a little bit quicker and less finicky, and you get good consistent results. But as always, this cookie does cause nervous breakdowns. I tested this 9 times before I got it right, but I'm happy to report that this is the one I landed on. That is what I'm happy to share with you guys today. Now, what I'm going to be taking you through is how to make the almond mixture, how to make a chocolate version, which is really easy, making the meringue, the dreaded mixing stage, drying your macarons, piping and filling, all the way to eating. So get ready, this is how you make good French macarons. Before we get started, I'm Nick and I'm super excited to be sharing this recipe with you guys today. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on. The very first step is measuring everything out before you begin, because this recipe goes really quickly and it's not going to wait around for you to get the next bit measured out. Speaking of measuring, highly recommend getting a pair of kitchen scales. No, that's not 2 kitchen scales, it's just 1, and this is going to be a much more accurate way of measuring your ingredients, because everything needs to be really perfectly accurately measured. Once you've done that, you're off to a good start. Let's go over to step 2, which is making the almond mixture. Really easy. You want to use good quality almond flour. This is not the same as almond meal. Almond meal has the skins in it, and you don't want to use that for making French macarons. You want almond flour, which is just the almond, and use a good quality one because you get a much finer almond meal, which means smoother cookies. Add some powdered sugar into a food processor and pulse this about 10 times. You don't want to over pulse, otherwise you will develop the oils in the almonds and that's going to lead on to disasters. Now, if you don't have a food processor, you can just sift these ingredients 3 times. You're going to be sifting these ingredients anyway, and once you've sifted them, you're going to be left over with about 2 tablespoons of that almond mixture. Some of them just won't pulse into a finer crumb. That's fine, you can discard that. Now, to make a chocolate version of this, it's really easy. There's no messing around with different methods or, measuring things differently. Just add 2 tablespoons of a really good quality cocoa powder in with the dry ingredients. That's how you make the chocolate ones. Let's move on to making the meringue. You don't need a stand mixer to make this. A hand mixer is perfectly fine. With the eggs, you want to separate your eggs because we're just going to be using the egg whites in this recipe. Make sure you don't get any egg yolks in there, otherwise this isn't going to whip up properly. Now, you want to separate your eggs into a separate bowl, and then with each egg that's separated, pour it into a large heat-proof bowl. I'll show you why in a second, but this way you don't risk contaminating all of your egg whites if you happen to get a little bit of egg yolk in there. It's kind of like an insurance policy. And you want to make sure you measure these to the gram. You want to make sure it's perfectly accurately measured. Add some caster sugar in there, that's also known as superfine sugar. I'm also going to be adding some cream of tartar. Now, this is going to help stabilize your meringue so that it whips up better. Give those a little bit of a whisk, and the other thing we're going to do to help stabilize this meringue and give us a nice stiff meringue is we're going to pop it on top of a double boiler. So fill a large pot 1/3 of the way with water, bring it to a boil, add your egg whites on top, making sure that the bottom of the bowl isn't touching the water, and just give this a whisk for a couple minutes until the sugar is dissolved. Now, the reason why we're using caster sugar or superfine sugar is because this is going to dissolve much easier. If you can feel no sugar grains in between your fingers, this is done. Take it off the heat, and this isn't going to feel really hot because we just gently cook the egg whites. If you want to color your macarons, and let's face it, we want those nice bright colors, you want to use food gel, not liquid food dye. Adding more liquid into this meringue is going to lead on to disastrous cracked macarons. So liquid food dye is a no-no. use food gel instead. Plus you get brighter colors with food gel anyway. I'm using my electric hand mixer to whip this up to stiff peaks. Let's move on to the dreaded mixing stage. I've got you covered here. I'm going to show you exactly how to mix this. It results in a perfect consistency. So add your dry ingredients to that meringue and you're going to start mixing this with a spatula, preferably a stiff spatula. You don't need to be too careful yet. You just want to make sure all of the dry ingredients are mixed in. As soon as all of the dry ingredients are mixed in and you can't see any dry ingredients, this is where you want to be careful how you mix. Okay, you don't need to count how many times you mix, that's ridiculous. You want to look for the right consistency. To mix your macaron batter, you're going to go around the bowl with a spatula and through the middle. Continue doing that. It's not going to take a certain amount of goes. It's going to get you to the right consistency. And what this does is it deflates the air out of the mixture to get to the right consistency. The right consistency is it coming off the spatula in kind of a ribbon, and you can do a figure eight in the rest of the batter. If you can do that, then the batter is done. Don't keep mixing. It's going to deflate it too much. Your macarons won't rise properly and a whole lot of other things will happen. If you can feel that you're getting to that consistency, start testing the batter. Start seeing if you can get that figure eight. It's better to start testing too early than to test too late. So if you test too early and it's not quite giving you that figure eight, keep giving it a couple more mixes. Transfer this into a piping bag fitted with a round tip and start piping your macarons. I'm using a large half sheet baking tray. You can use any size you like. And I'm going to be using silicone baking mats. Some people would tell you not to use these. Some people say they get better results with baking paper. I've actually found the opposite. With baking paper, I got macarons that didn't rise properly. With silicone baking mats, I got macarons that rose better. These are expensive, but if you're a baker or someone who enjoys baking, they're a worthwhile investment. As you're piping your macarons, you want to get them to the right size. I've got a little guide underneath my silicone baking mat, which I just printed off, about 3 centimeters in width, and just space them well apart because they are going to spread as they dry. I'm going to go into the drying stage next, but you want to pipe and then kind of do a little bit of a swirl and let them spread out. Now, if you're finding that the little peaks from when you're lifting up your piping bag aren't going away, the batter is too thick, scrape it off, put it back into the bowl, give it maybe 3 or 4 more mixes, test the consistency, and then pop it back into the bag. You want to be really careful if you do that though, because there's a really big risk of over mixing your batter. Once you've piped your macarons, you're going to get about 2 trays worth, about 30 cookies all up. You're going to tap the tray on your workbench 3 times. It's going to allow any air bubbles in the batter to rise to the top of the cookies and give you a better rise in the oven. You can even go as far as using a toothpick to fill in the bubbles. I did do this and it takes a while. Put on a podcast and just pop those bubbles. It's also at this stage that you can sprinkle on sprinkles. Things like freeze-dried berries work well as well. You don't want to use heavy sprinkles. It's going to sink into your cookies. Okay, the drying stage. Drying is really, really important because it's going to give you those little feet, which is such an iconic thing with macarons. Dry these for 30 to 60 minutes. It really depends on your environment. If it's a hot, humid day, it's going to take way longer. If it's not, it may only take 30 minutes. The way to test it is to use your finger, very gently tap the top of a macaron, and if it doesn't stick to your finger, it's good to go. You can start baking. But if it's still sticky, keep drying. One way to speed up the drying process if you find it's taking too long is to just put a fan in the room, not facing the macarons, but just a little bit of air circulating in the room will help speed things up. You're going to bake these with no fan in the oven, in the middle tray or the middle rack for 10 minutes. That's all it takes. Once it's finished baking, let them cool down completely before you try taking them off the silicone baking mats. Completely. Otherwise, they'll probably stick, they will crumble, and it'll be a disaster. The next thing is pairing and filling. Now, not all of your macarons are going to be the perfect same size. Some of them will be a little bit bigger, so a little bit on the smaller side. So once they're baked, pair them up, and then you can start filling. Now the filling, I'm going to be using my white chocolate ganache. You can use buttercream, which is a traditional filling. You can use chocolate ganache, anything you like. You can even use kind of, caramel centers or anything you like, anything that your imagination can come up with. A good thing about macarons is the day after they're made and filled, they actually go a little bit softer and chewier. So if you can wait that long, they're even nicer. That's it, guys. That's all my tips and tricks. That's my new recipe. This is different from my other recipe where I made Italian meringue, which is a cooked meringue with a syrup. This is much easier. You're not mucking around with a syrup. Although the other recipe, a lot of people swear by it. So if you have trouble with macarons, try this recipe. Let me know what you think in the comments. The recipe is going to be on my website, thescranline.com. Link for that is in the box below. The fillings that I use, the ganache, I've left links for those in this recipe on the website. So grab it all there. It's in the same spot for you guys. Let me know what you think of this recipe. I'm so excited to share it. And I hope you guys have much more success with macarons. That's my goal in life. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all on the next episode of The Scran Line. Oh, by the way, I have another channel which is called The Scran Line Every Day. It's where I share my savory recipes. If you want to grab yummy, delicious, easy weeknight dinner recipe ideas or things like sauces or dips or breads, whatever it is, go and check it out. I've left a link down below in the description box for you guys. Subscribe. Check out the recipes, make them. They're all on the same website, thescranline.com.